In this video, I'm rolling with Phil. Phil is a white belt at the school. He has about 1 year of experience. He's been pretty consistent, and I know he's been given some white belts a hard time. He's big and strong. I know I'm not allowed to say that. His calves are as big as my head. This is his first appearance on the channel. And I said, are you excited about your first appearance? I was making a joke. He does watch the channel. So I've been practicing something not new. It's something I've done here and there, but I put myself into different modes. So on this mode, I'm practicing active resistance. You see this a lot in police videos when they're trying to arrest somebody, but he's not doing anything offensively, but he's resisting being arrested. So it's like an active resistance. So here my first level of active resistance is not letting him grab me. So I'm not trying to do anything offensive. I'm just not going to let him do anything offensive by simply fighting his ability to grab me. It's some of the hand fighting I have here definitely comes from Wing Chun. It comes from Wing Chun sticky hands. So when somebody tries to grab you, they try to turn the angle of their hand and go up or down, and I'm able to track that and prevent him from re-grabbing. I let go when it's appropriate as well. Sticky hands doesn't mean stick to somebody no matter what. It means deflect their energy. What he should be trying to do is either pull on my head or push me back on my head, which will expose my ankles because they'll go up, and then he can grab my ankle and do a 2-on-1 leg drag to pass my guard. That's my advice to white belts from this position. Because as long as he does the wrist fighting or the hand fighting, it's not really going anywhere. So he keeps re-gripping my wrist, and as I've said in other videos, I'll even let somebody grab both my wrists because I know my legs are still in play there. So there he almost did something good. He grabbed my ankle, and as you could see, it took a little bit of extra effort for me to recover from that. I had to address it and make space. So here he's finally got a hold of my pants leg, which I don't mind if he grabs the gi. I forgot to bring my no gi attire, so I brought my gi. I think if somebody rolls no gi and they have gi pants on, you should be allowed to grab them because they're giving you an advantage where you're able to stick to the other person better. I think that's why Eddie Bravo wears pants when he rolls a no gi, because he can grip onto you. You can't just slide away or slide out of it the way you can in no-gi. So with that advantage, I think the player deserves an advantage of being able to grab the material. So we basically did a whole round where I just actively resisted by wrist fighting. I've done no offensive movement. So now he's finally venturing into my guard. For you white belts out there, just engage. Don't treat a roll like a match. Just engage. I know you're probably thinking, well, when I engage, it's not going to work out, or I want to engage on my own terms. But your own terms, you don't know what you're doing. So just engage and find out what's going to happen. Instead of having a situation where you spend 5 minutes disengaged and you didn't really get much knowledge out of it. So here, this is the first offensive move I'm going to do. That's the bell for the regular rounds. I think we do 3 rounds. So there I made space, I got my hook in. I'm looking to control his arm. And there I was able to sweep him and come up. It didn't look like anything, but it was something major, a major turn in events. And it allowed me to get on top in a safe way. I mean, he had zero chance of being injured on that type of sweep. And the leverage is so powerful. So even though it doesn't look like a big deal, most great jiu-jitsu isn't abundantly obvious. It's nuanced. So here I'm just threatening like a BS wrist lock. I want to see his reaction. I'm not really trying to finish it. I want to see if he opens his legs, gives me different options. Excuse him. So what he should be doing here is grabbing my head and pulling me down. His guard is so low, he has a closed guard that's just hanging off my waist, which means my arms are free, my head is free, my posture is free. And now I'm just wrist fighting, which he's not going to win because of my experience with that. So I take the time here to tell him, climb the guard, climb your legs up my body. When you do that, it prevents me from easily pulling out of any submission attempts. See, so now I'm kind of semi-trapped. I know I feel threatened here. Like if I feel that, I know that I have to really get out of this closed guard with urgency because this guy knows what he's doing. So here I let him start with my arm dragged across his chest. Now there's a lot of detail and a lot of nuance to be taught from this position, but the main thing I wanted him to understand, the primary principle, was pulling me forward, climbing his legs up my body, and breaking my posture. To add to that, he should be pulling on my head. See, his legs aren't connected there. He opened the guard with no connection. They're not on my hip. He doesn't really have a knee shield. He's just got my wrist control, which doesn't do much for him because I could break out of that. So here I'm just trying to pass very incrementally. I'm not looking to explode. I'm not looking to jump all over him. I'm not using a lot of pressure. I'm just looking to use the least amount of effort and the most technique, if that makes sense. So here I'm sitting on his leg. I'm letting him do some wrist fighting, and then I put my left knee down the middle. As you could see, it's easy to turn that corner, and then I get right to the 1,000-pound position, but I'm not applying 1,000 pounds because my left knee is on the floor next to his hip. I like to use that as a form of control. There he made space. So now my left hand is blocking his hip. You could see it. It's under his hip. So my right hand's under his head, my left hand's under his hip, but I'm still not smashing him into a grape. I'm containing. I want him to be able to move because when he moves, he can make mistakes that are easy to exploit. If I just pin him down and try to muscle a submission, chances are I'm probably not going to get it. Here he was able to sit up, which was a really good move on his part, and I switched to the front headlock position, and then I was able to roll him over and stay in side control. So here again, no pressure. I'm using a can inside the can principle. He can move, but he's not going to move me because I'm not overly connected to him. I'm containing. I like to contain. Like here, I could put a shoulder in his face that would make his neck feel like it's going to break. But there's no reason for that. Unless you just want to torture somebody. So here I was able to jump to the back. I like this choke off the knees, but he sank down, which blocked the choke, which was a good reaction on his part. More of a natural reaction, probably. I'm not sure how many times he's felt that type of position. So now again, my knee was on his belly, and from there I very casually went to mount. So there he was able to push me off and regain some type of knee shield guard. Which again, I'm not saying I let him do it, but if my technique's not perfect, I'll suffer the consequences. I won't resort to getting very tense and using muscle, or I'll try not to. I guess it's probably somewhat impossible to totally avoid doing that, but I was explaining recently, when you get into a bad position, you say, oh, I don't use muscle. Maybe you don't. But then when you get into a bad position where you think you might be submitted, all of a sudden you turn into Arnold Schwarzenegger. Because you think it's justified. But really, you'd be better off getting submitted and finding out what technically happened there. So again, a moment to put the ego aside and learn. So here, as you can see, he's playing like an open guard, but there's no connection. I'm just laying on his knee. You know, we're 12 minutes into a round. And I'm no spring chicken. And I'm against a bigger, stronger, younger firefighter. I think he's 33. So almost 20 years younger. Probably over 200 pounds. And even though I'm trying to do it gently. So there I was looking for the Darce, but he's defending, so I didn't force it. Not that I was strong enough to force it. So again, I'm just holding him down. He could probably still talk here. I'm not putting pressure on him. I'm not trying to make him into a pancake or anything. I want him to move, because I know when he moves, it's going to make it easier to submit him. So there he tried to spin the other way. Again, he sat up into that choke. You know that I let my partner sit up that way if he wants to from side control, because I know that choke is waiting. And I also know I just end up on the back, or in the very worst case, back in side control. So here he's trying to bench press me off of him. I'm changing the angle to kill the power of his bench press. Now he has like what I call an A-frame. Now I'm not sure if he learned it from me, but I'm a big believer in putting your hands together like they just were and pushing on the waist to get out. I just posted a short of a mount escape that way. You make a frame, the A-frame on the waist. You push me off and you bring your knee back in. From mount, not from this position. This is a little different. This is knee on belly, but it's almost the same thing. I could be in mount at any moment from here. Oh, and that's exactly what happened. If he pushed a certain way, I would just take the mount. There he did a big hip bump. If he would have had control of my arm, this is what I'm showing him now. When he did the big hip bump, it would have led to a sweep. And this principle of controlling your opponent's ability to base is very important in sweeping. I would say it's like 50% of a good sweep is controlling their ability to base. Because if I just start to roll you over and you could just put your arm out, you're going to prevent it. Or if you could put your leg out. So we want to try to control that base. So here our roll is finished. We did about 14 minutes. And now he's asking me some questions. I love if I can give someone 5 minutes of my time and really help their game. So here I'm showing, so if you go for a butterfly sweep and somebody bases or their legs are open, you don't want to stay in butterfly. If somebody's standing over you with their legs open, you don't want to just try to play butterfly, because there is no butterfly. Look, start like pass on your knees, stay on your knees, and start like press. Right, you keep your legs like this. Like they're not so here I'm showing him that he needs to attach his legs. So when he plays open guard, if his legs are just floating, it makes it easier for me to pass. Whereas here, I have my foot on his bicep, I have my foot on his hip, I have a frame that I can still talk from under, even though he's on top of me pressuring, my legs are handling it pretty easily.
If I'm here, chuck my knee, it's pretty much impossible. It's pretty much...
Here I'm showing the principle of being flexible so you can bring your knees up high when you're playing guard. Kind of like Keenan Cornelius, but I'm not as flexible or as good. But I do understand the principle of bringing your legs up and keeping your knees high. It makes it harder for them to shuck your knee to pass, to get to like a knee on belly pass that I like to do. That always happens when I see the knee low instead of high up on the chest.
Right, I got nothing now, right? So now I have to go to this.
So now I'm explaining that when somebody stands up in your butterfly, you have to switch. You go to De La Hiva, you make sure you get your points of connection. De La Hiva, reverse De La Hiva.
But I have to start going like that.
As soon as you let go of your opponent and he's standing over you, now he has speed, he has all the things that you'd be able to control if you had a connection, but when you have no connection, if the guy's quick, he's just going to run around your guard. And I'm explaining, I see this a lot when I'm rolling. I see the potential to do this pass, and I don't do it. I only do it once in a while. So again, no connection. Hard to stop somebody that's just running around your guard. Also, as you can see by his leg position, his knees are up in the air. They're not flared to the sides, and they're kind of close together, which makes it easier for me to shuck the knee, easier for me to get by, do a knee bar, do a toe hold, get into a ashigarami. Ashigarami.
Yes, and I put them a little out. So not here. See, the problem with here is...
So again, explaining if the knees are close together, it's easy to tip somebody over into the fetal position.
My other knee's going to hit the floor.
But when your knees are wide, it's much more difficult, if not impossible.
But your knee is good, and you're very strong, and you don't really use it. You only use it when you get in trouble, right?
So again, you spend 5 minutes with a white belt after a roll, and you could really help them improve, and then that'll make our rolls even better. There will definitely be more videos to come with Phil. He's a good training partner, and he's a quick learner. A lot of the things that I was showing him here, he went on to do in the very next roll during this open mat. This is Wednesday open mat at the school, so we have more time to talk after rolls and to be constructive and to analyze positions. Sometimes we'll hang out in a group and just break things down for 20 minutes. And sometimes techniques work better than you think, and sometimes they don't work as well as you think. And we get to hash that all out. One of the things I love about jiu-jitsu, the honesty.
I'm setting something up, and you should start going wild, right? That's when you rip your tricep. You get all these weird injuries that you can't even imagine, especially as you get older. You want to be like an older man with all these terrible injuries. You want to be like me, 51,
So thank you for watching. If you find value from my content and you want to help support the channel, I have a merch store, and I also have a Buy Me a Coffee link. Both are in the description. I really appreciate everybody. And thank you for watching. And please like, share, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you.